The truth about that night has been hiding in plain sight, but a stunning breach of silence from inside Portland Hospital has just changed everything. Candace Owens recently went public, declaring that Meghan Markle's pregnancy narrative completely defies logic. For years, skeptics were dismissed, but this time, the pressure isn't just coming from media commentators. A whistleblower from inside the very medical facility where Archie was allegedly born has quietly come forward with details that were never meant to leave those secure walls. These specific, institutional anomalies shatter the polished story the world was sold, forcing even the most neutral observers to ask the exact same chilling question: what actually happened the night Archie was born? Welcome to Royal Scope. Tonight, we are peeling back the carefully managed public relations curtain to conduct a rigorous, forensic examination of a royal birth story that simply does not add up. By cross-referencing recent insider disclosures with established medical protocols, royal traditions, and Prince Harry's own written testimony, a pattern emerges that is impossible to ignore. This isn't about speculation. It is about the cold, hard friction between a written narrative and physical reality. And as we dig into the official timeline, the first major fracture appears in a place most people completely overlooked. To understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, we have to look back at Prince Harry's memoir, Spare. It was marketed as an unfiltered, raw look behind the palace gates. Yet, buried within the emotional prose was a single, definitive sentence that instantly caused jaws to drop within the medical community. Harry claimed that Meghan received 2 separate epidurals, gave birth at Portland Hospital, and was packed up and back home at Frogmore Cottage within a mere 2 hours. To the average reader, that sounds like an impressively speedy recovery. To anyone who has actually endured childbirth, it sounds highly improbable. But to licensed obstetricians and hospital administrative staff, that specific timeline crosses the line from unusual straight into the realm of the medically impossible. Let's look at the basic geography. A drive from Portland Hospital in central London to Frogmore Cottage in Windsor takes approximately 1 hour under absolute peak traffic conditions. If the Sussexes were walking through their front door exactly 2 hours after delivery, the math forces a terrifyingly tight window. It means that within a single 60-minute period, Meghan gave birth, recovered from 2 separate spinal blocks, underwent postpartum maternal checks, had the newborn thoroughly examined by a pediatrician, cleared formal hospital discharge papers, packed her bags, coordinated a high-security royal transport detail, and cleared the facility. Experienced labor and delivery nurses have noted that standard discharge procedures for a regular, complication-free patient take hours, not minutes. For a high-profile royal patient allegedly dealing with elevated risks, rushing out the door in less than an hour defies every standard medical safety protocol in the United Kingdom. And yet, this impossible timeline is just the surface of a much deeper, more perplexing clinical mystery. The claim of receiving 2 epidurals introduces an even larger medical anomaly. An epidural is not a temporary medication administered like a standard injection or a simple cup of tea. It involves the precise placement of a tiny catheter tube directly into the epidural space of the spine. Once that catheter is safely secured, doctors alter the level of pain relief by simply adjusting the dosage flowing through that existing line. If a patient requires more or less medication, the pump is adjusted. The tube is never removed. For Meghan to have received 2 distinct epidurals, as Harry explicitly details in his book, an anesthesiologist would have had to completely extract the first catheter, re-sterilize the site, perform an entirely new spinal puncture, insert a secondary tube, and run extensive placement tests, all while the patient was in active labor. Medical professionals point out that this is an incredibly rare, high-risk deviation that requires specialized intervention and extensive post-procedure monitoring. Yet, the memoir brushes past this massive clinical event as if it were a casual, brief footnote in an otherwise smooth evening. Then there is the bizarre anecdote regarding laughing gas. Harry attempts to inject a bit of lighthearted humor into the chapter by admitting he accidentally inhaled the entire tank of Entonox meant for Meghan. While written as a charming, relatable comedy sketch, real-world maternity wards operate under strict regulatory safety standards. Nitrous oxide equipment is heavily controlled, monitored, and administered strictly under professional supervision.